I'm Spencer Myers and I'm here with Scott Garvey. We're outside of Carman, Manitoba today doing some testing for the Ag in Motion Discovery Plus show that's taking part this year, July 21st through 25th. This year we're testing 3 different UTVs. So Scott, can you break down what we're testing and how we're going to test them?
Well, Spencer, we have 3 different manufacturers represented here today. We have a diesel model from Mahindra. We've got a CanAm Defender Pro with a long wheelbase. And we also have one of Kubota's newest models, the Sidekick 850. You know, we've tested UTVs in the past and put them through their paces, but the test course we've designed today is probably the most difficult test course we've ever put together for these machines. So we're gonna be able to test a wide variety of performance factors, acceleration, maneuverability. As well, we have a load prepared that we're going to put in the bed of each one of these machines. And we also have a weighted trailer prepared, so we're going to be towing as well as hauling. All the kinds of things that you would expect these machines to be able to do on the farm, we're going to do here today, and we're going to let you know how the machines performed. This
year's event is sponsored by BKT, and the machines have been supplied by local dealers. So Scott, we just finished the unloaded portion of our testing today. This is the Mahindra XT1000 supplied by Hydro Ag Supply. So let's talk about what we liked and what we didn't like about this machine here.
Well, capable machine, diesel, the only diesel in the test, so we're getting more noise. We're getting a bit of a slower acceleration than you would expect on a gas model. So that's to be expected because of the difference in design. This is one of 2 that's supplied with a cab. It's nice to have a cab, but one of the things I didn't like about this cab was, well, a couple of things actually. I don't much care for the design of this door handle. It's 2 fingers in there to get it open. Kind of, if you had winter gloves on, that might be kind of a difficult thing. These windows, kind of reminiscent of an old European car where you can only slide them half open. And this machine did not have air conditioning, so it got a little hot in here. You can open the windshield on this model to help with airflow.
But on a 30°C day like we've had today, it gets a little warm in there.
It really does. Inside the cab, I like those seats.
They're really nice. Seats are comfy, they're well designed. And I found that it was comfy to drive, but again, you had a bit more cab noise in this than maybe the Kubota that we have with the cab. Let's talk about kind of the back of the machine. What did you like or dislike about the tailgate or the bed?
So this has a hydraulic bed, the only machine in our test group that does. So button on the dashboard, your box will tilt, which if you had a load of firewood or anything that you didn't want to manually hand bomb out, that's going to be pretty handy. Something that the other manual lifts, they're not going to unload a heavy cargo. Sides fold down, so you can essentially create a flat deck with this, although you do have the short box, and the box is steel, but it does have an aluminum deck in the bottom, so it should be fairly sturdy.
Yep. And storage on this one, there isn't any under seat storage. There's a small storage compartment in the front. What were your likes and dislikes?
Yeah, this is, when it comes to storage compartments, this is the least equipped of our test vehicles. All you've got is a standard glove box like you'd have in a car or pickup truck. So if you had a lot of tools that you kept in your machine permanently, you would have to use bed space for that.
Okay.
But other than that, capable. It's got 2 or 4-wheel drive selectable and rear differential lock, and we tested that traction ability of it.
Yep.
No problems at all on hill climbing and in soft dirt. But we did manage to find that we had hit the power limitation of this on some steep hill climbs.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the CanAm.
So Scott, this is the Defender XT. As you can see, when we cut to a wide shot, this actually has the long box on it. I was quite surprised at how maneuverable this machine was, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the other things that we liked and disliked about this machine.
Yeah, the Defender Pro XT, not the first time I've driven one. I knew a bit of what to expect here. This is a very powerful machine, 82 horsepower, which puts it head and shoulders above the other two that we're testing, and we saw that what that does to its performance on the hill climb simply just went up with no trouble at all. Storage on this machine is head and shoulders above all the rest. There's storage everywhere, including a full pass-through right under the box. The box is 6 feet long, so again, different than the others. And also the sides will come off, so you can have a flat deck on this.
Okay.
One of the things CanAm has done is put a lot of effort into silencing their machine, and we noticed that during the drive. This is a fairly quiet machine when you're sitting in the cab. Reason for that is a redesign they did a couple model years back. Engine on this as well is farther back, so it's farther from the cab.
Okay.
They also wrapped the exhaust to keep them quieter. Electronic controls on this for 4-wheel drive and diff lock.
Yeah, and when I had to switch in and out of 4-wheel, it just makes it that much quicker. Yeah. And the seats are comfy as well, just like the old models of the Defender. They're really well designed. The headrest is there. I felt pretty secure with the bar here. So one thing I was expecting when I hopped into this machine was that it would be a little longer to turn, it wouldn't turn as quick, and also I knew that we were gonna have to maneuver around some tight trees. I didn't know how that was gonna go. Really pleasantly surprised driving this. It felt like I was driving any other standard UTV or side-by-side in terms of how big it is, but when you look at this machine, it's noticeably longer than most of the other machines that we've tested. So just as maneuverable, and the power made it that much nicer to drive as well. You didn't feel like you were fighting the landscape at all. It kind of, no matter what was underneath, it kind of just rolled right over.
Yeah, electronic power steering is a nice feature as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at the Kubota.
Okay.
So Spencer, let's talk about the sports car in the bunch here.
Yes.
A few years ago, Kubota introduced the XG line, much peppier, sportier version than the RTV line that they had been offering, which they still do. But what we've seen today, this is our first time behind the wheel of one of these. This is a sporty machine, and by far the sportiest of this working group that we've got here. It's a gas engine, adequate power. We saw on the hill climb, we were making it work, but it did the job. Second of two with an enclosed cab. This cab was a little nicer. I like the doors better, handles were nicer. The windows roll down in a normal fashion, so you can get a large airflow going on there. Of course, ours came with a windshield wiper, which would be a handy option in adverse conditions. Inside the cab, we've got fairly basic seating, probably not as nice as some of the others, but comfortable nonetheless.
Yep.
One thing I do like about this is Kubota has stayed with their mechanical control system.
Yes.
So to shift 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive is a mechanical lever. Diff lock, mechanical lever, the same as you'd find on a 2-wheel drive tractor. I like that. The simplicity is nice.
The parking brake is on the left side. It feels normal. It feels familiar.
It feels automotive. And at the same time, it feels like it might feel on a tractor that you're used to using.
Yeah.
Peppy, good acceleration. We did get to use the winch. That pulled us up, no sweat at all, the winch that this was equipped with. One of the nicest lighting packages I noticed, although we didn't get a chance to use it in the dark, but that would be handy.
So looking, I guess, into the cab and towards the back, what's storage like on this compared to the CanAm, which has amazing storage?
You do have under-seat storage in here, which is pretty good under both sides. So it's adequate if you've got a toolbox or something you want to put in. This isn't bad.
Yeah. And the tailgate, it's been coated with that rock coating, so it's very tough, very durable. You're not going to worry about scratching anything in the back of this machine. The lift is manual, which is, again, it's maybe not as nice if you have a full load of firewood or something that you really need to dump and you don't want to do it by hand, but it's familiar and it's easy to use. The tailgate on this machine was my favorite of the three, simply because of that ease of use. The standard latch pull, you can slam it shut. You have no worries of getting your fingers in the way, whereas on the Mahindra, it was very similar, but you have to have the gate in maybe a bit more of a particular position to close it.
Yeah, and what we saw today with our work here is when we needed to go run for something, this was the one we chose because it was just a peppy, simple little machine to get in and nice to operate.
Yeah. If you're looking for a machine that can kind of do everything, offers that power, but offers also that little bit more of a sporty feel, then the Kubota is a great option for that.
What we had today was essentially a sports car and 2 pickup trucks. So that's the unloaded portion of our testing. From here, we're going to throw a load in the cargo bed on all these machines, run the course, and then we're going to get a trailer.
Okay,
load that in.
Let's see how it goes. So Scott, we just finished up the load test and the weight test. We've tested 3 machines today. So I personally felt that 2 of them did perform better than the one, but we'll get into the finer details right now. I was testing most of the towing, so we had about 500 pounds loaded in the back onto a trailer. So hauling over some really uneven terrain, driving the CanAm, I didn't even notice that the trailer was behind me. Other than the extended box and the extended length, I really didn't have to pay that much attention to it. It was easy to forget and very easy to maneuver. Almost forgettable that you have 500 pounds in the back. I could almost say the same for the Kubota actually. I really barely felt it in the back and it handled almost identical. The Kubota really wants to go and really wants to accelerate. So you notice that when you have weight in the back as well when you're trying to stop. But performance-wise on uneven terrain, again, I barely felt that 500 pounds in the box. I can't say the same about the Mahindra, unfortunately. Going up some hills with the 500 pounds in a trailer, I really was struggling to get up to speed and I felt that the engine was really kind of sluggish. And I guess we can go into the load category on the Mahindra. We almost bottomed out the shocks when we tried to put the load directly into the box. So can you touch on that specifically on the Mahindra?
Yeah, the Mahindra actually, unfortunately, we had to withdraw from the load test because when we did put the 500-pound pallet into the back, we had virtually used up all the suspension travel. So to avoid any damage to the machine and for safety reasons, we didn't proceed with the Mahindra in that portion of the test.
But with the other 2 machines, we were able to load that 500 pounds that was in the trailer directly into the box of the machine. And Scott did most of the testing for that. What can you tell us about how those machines felt that way?
Testing with the load, no problem at all. Virtually unnoticeable, really, for the Kubota, and of course the CanAm was the same. And I had an opportunity last summer to drive the identical CanAm with 1,000 pounds in, which is double our load from today. And again, almost didn't know it was there. So that 82 horsepower Rotax engine and the chassis design on the CanAm is perfectly suited to carrying cargo like that. The Kubota, again, no problems there with the 500 pound load and our roughly 800 to 900 pound total GVW trailer. Both of those 2 machines handled it easily.
The only thing that we did notice was that actually getting the hitch on and off was an issue on the Mahindra as well. When we're trying to put our hitch in, it was very clunky and just not that easy to put on.
Yeah, the design of the hitch there, it was a bit tough getting the pin in. It did go in, but it was just kind of a different design that caused us some concern in getting that pin in, but we got it in, and we got the trailer tow portion test done.
Other than that, I can say that all machines did perform quite well today. It was about 30 degrees today here in Manitoba, so sitting in these hot cabs, we did get pretty warm.
Yeah, we had a really hot day, but to the credit of the machines, we did not get an engine temperature light. So no mechanical problems that way.
To be honest, when it comes to hauling and putting loads in, I will have to say that maybe the CanAm and the Kubota did outperform this specific Mahindra model that we have behind us.
Yeah, when you start getting up towards the high end of the spec range for their capabilities, that's when you really start to notice the difference in performance in the machine. So if that's not something you need, if you just need a runabout, not a concern.
So Scott, we've actually had a late entry to our testing today. Behind us is a Bobcat EV34 supplied by Durn Equipment. We put it through the same testing, the same rigmarole that we put the other 3 machines through. Tell us what you liked and what you didn't like about the Bobcat.
Yeah, so this is day 2 of our testing, so that's why things look a little different. Likes and dislikes about the Bobcat. Let's start with the dislikes. Kind of an annoying whining sound at low throttle on startup and slowing down and when under load at low throttle. It's not really a problem, it's just kind of one of those niggly little things that's kind of annoying. Really, other than that, the only other negative we can mark on it is possibly in comparison to storage on the other machines. This does have a flip-up passenger seat with a very small storage tray underneath it, and of course what that does is give you more floor space, so you could stack a larger item on the floor, which is something the other models didn't allow for in the cab. And under dash there's some storage, but the largest compartment has probably only about a 4-inch clearance, so if you had a pair of mitts on in the wintertime trying to get something out of there, probably a little awkward. Positives, and there were lots of them. We like this machine. Power, probably second best in power to the CanAm, which came in at 82 horsepower, so we expected more power and torque there. Hill climbing, really good performance at low throttle on very steep grades.
Yeah, you had the engine brake kind of kick in, so why don't you talk about that?
Right, so on the downgrades, on very steep downgrades, one of the best engine braking of all the models that we tested, to take your foot off the throttle on probably a 40-degree grade, and we basically stopped with 2 passengers in it just by taking your foot off the throttle. And even with the load on, we did test with a 500-pound, same 500-pound load, we found that engine braking, even in high range, very efficient in low range, but in high range, really good there too with the load on. Unfortunately, because this is day 2 of our testing, we lost some of our testing equipment, which was the trailer, so we couldn't tow. But based on our analysis of the load, virtually hard to detect, really.
We were weaving in and out of some trees, almost invisible that you're towing 500 pounds. So very impressive that way, similar to the CanAm.
So we would assume towing would be equally as good. We didn't have much suspension droop with that load on the back, hardly any at all.
No, I was watching from the side angle and you barely saw the back end sag actually, so that was quite impressive.
And just one last little niggly little thing that I forgot about was the tailgate latch.
Yes.
It's a 2-handed latch. I mean, it's an automotive style, but just the friction to get it to pop loose was kind of annoying on a 2-hand. But close it, just give it a push and it slams closed. Overall, high marks for this machine. So, Spencer, 2 days of testing, 4 machines, one of the most challenging UTV courses we've ever set up, and that wraps up our UTV review for this year.
Yeah, probably the funnest course that we've had personally since I've been involved. We just want to say thank you to BKT, which was the sponsor of this year's UTV challenge. And we want to say thank you to the dealerships that actually supply these machines. So the CanAm Defender Pro that we were trying today was supplied by Enns Brothers. The Mahindra 1000 that's behind us was supplied by Hydro Ag Supply. And the Kubota over there was supplied by Gen Ag. So we want to say thank you to those local dealers for giving us the machines to test today.
And thank you for watching.